What's up YouTube, TechShot87. Today we're going to do another pistol review. This time we're going to revisit the first gun that I ever owned, the Smith & Wesson M&P 9 Compact. A couple reasons that I rebought this gun, and we'll talk about that as we go through. First of all, if you're new to our channel, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us and all the subscribers that have been with us for a while. This is one of the new color combinations for Smith & Wesson this year. This is the flat dark earth version. They also came out with a carbon fiber version, and I believe they incorporated that into the compact and the full size. I really like the way this flat dark earth version looks. I went to Sportsman's Outdoor Superstore, got it for $4.64, free shipping. Came to me in I think 3 days. This version right here is the most expensive, believe it or not. This one in the carbon fiber in 9mm, $4.64. If you get the full size though, or the all black version of this, it's $4.19. So this, I guess, because 9mm is so popular, is the more expensive one. No manual safety. Okay. So inside the box you get the gun, two 12-round magazines, and you also have 3 sets of back straps. To show you those in a minute. So let's move the box to the side here. So the M&P series, man, has been very popular, very huge. 2005 is when these pistols first came out, and they've just taken the market by storm. Now, one thing I've noticed with the compact version, especially since the Shield has come out, is it's kind of fallen by the wayside with a lot of people, I feel like. But they've made some changes, especially to the trigger, and I can tell you in the difference between a year and a half of first owning this gun and even this version, it feels different to me. The gun overall, we'll just talk about some of the features. It has a 3.5-inch barrel. It's 6.7 inches in overall length, 4.3 inches high, 1.2 inches wide, and 21.5 or 21.7 ounces is on Smith & Wesson's website. That's without a magazine, so you're probably somewhere around 23.5 ounces empty. I did want to show you this real quick. This is the Shield, which has just been so great, and another reason that I decided to get this one. But when you have the Shield, you'll notice here the big difference is the thickness. But when you put these up, the part you're trying to hide, it's actually shorter than the single stack Shield. So, and you have 12 rounds in this one and 7 rounds in the flush magazine of the Shield. So pretty interesting. It is a smaller and lighter gun in the Shield, but still, that's something to consider. Like I said, the guns, it does come with 2 12-round magazines. You have the flush, which feels pretty good. It's rounded off right here. One of the complaints I had about the FNS Compact was it has this little lip, so your pinky's kind of sticking out like this. But this gun, if you know, your pinky will either fall off depending on the size of your hands, or it will tuck up under there real nice, feels great. And you also have your pinky rest extension, so you can get a full grip on the gun. Feels really good. Kind of defeats the purpose of what this gun is for, concealed carry. Ambidextrous Controls, you can switch your magazine button here if you want to, and then your slide stop is ambidextrous. If you get the one with the manual safety, it is nothing like the Shield, which is very flush to the frame. I mean, it really, I don't even use this safety. I've never inadvertently turned it on. It can happen, but I've never done it. But if you go with the compact, it sticks out from the frame quite a bit, so just keep that in mind. I went with the one without the safety. Just like the other M&P line, you have a loaded chamber indicator or just a little viewport up top, 3-dot sight. You can also get these with night sights, and they are adjustable for windage. The M&P Compact, like I said, to me kind of feels like, since the Shield and all these other options has almost fallen by the wayside. But I really like the M&P series in general, so I decided this is great. Now, one big huge difference, even between the one that I had and really what's plagued the M&P series, at least before the Shields time, has been the trigger. You notice you have this split trigger design. It has a little stop built on the bottom of it down there, if you can see that, and then you have a stop built into the actual trigger guard itself. So right there, and then right there on the bottom of the trigger, you see it hanging down, and basically that prevents any over travel. So here is the trigger now. You still have some creep or some grit in it. I'm sure you can hear that. Then you hit a nice wall here, and it breaks. So there's not a lot of travel, and I think that's huge for this gun, because the trigger pull is not necessarily light, but there's not a lot of travel there. So, and then here is something that plagued the M&P series for a long time, but it's actually in this gun, a reset. So for the longest time, it was basically like a guessing game where the trigger reset. There's your break again. It is a little bit heavy. We'll have to run some rounds through it. And there's your reset. So not a bad trigger. Not as good as the FNS Compact, out of the box anyways. But like I said, we'll run some rounds through it when we do our shooting review, and we'll see how it does. It feels pretty nice, and it feels different than the M&P I had before. You also have a takedown tool built into the frame here. You turn it a quarter of a turn. It's a little bit stiff right now. You pull it out. This will allow you to do two things. You can now remove your back straps and put on the small, medium, and large. It comes with the medium, excuse me. Also, when you're breaking down, let me grab my little flashlight here. You will notice a little yellow tab on the inside of there. Alright, so instead of pulling the trigger, you can actually take your takedown tool and pull this down just like that. So now you don't have to pull the trigger if you don't want to. You have to lock the slide to the rear, rotate this down, and now it will come right off. The internals, you do have a captive single recoil. It is a flat spring. And then, of course, your barrel, striker block and everything. Stainless steel guide rod, stainless steel barrel, stainless steel slide, coated in melanite. Stainless steel rails. You have 4 points of contact here. Very nice construction. Of course, lifetime warranty through Smith. And, you know, one of the big things for me, this tends to ride, wants to close on you. So one thing I found, push it back, then push it up, and then close it. That's a prime example right there. And at least for the Shield and the other compact that I own, they're not the most refined guns. They're not. You know, sometimes you think, like, at least I have, why is this thing so good? And one of the big things that I've thought about and why I go back to the M&P line, first of all, they work. And that's the most important thing. This model, of course, the Shield, being concealed carry options, that's what they're aimed to do. But they work. And, you know, you can say that for most of these manufacturers. They have it dialed in to where most of them work. But they feel great in the hand too. The way this grip angle is designed, it feels very natural, and it just works for me. The sights and stuff, I like a 3-dot setup. I like these sights. You know, I don't know what it is. You know, the feel of the gun is a big thing for me, and you know, that grip angle probably has a lot to do with it. Now, there's people that say, you know, oh, this gun points so naturally, you know, this and that. This gun points naturally. This is the kind of gun, when you're talking about pointing naturally, this is what they mean. And basically, when I pull this gun up, it seems like every time I pull it up, I'm on target. So I just wanted to mention that there's just something about it. Like I said, they're not the most refined gun. There's things that, you know, even with the shield, you know, I want to change this, I want to change that. They work, they feel great, lifetime warranty, you know, and that's one of the biggest things. And I think there's a value thing to this too. These are going to come in cheaper than Glocks most of the time. Like I said, this one's $464. If you want a full size in this color combination, it's $419. If you want an all black version of this, it's $419. If you want a 40 Smith & Wesson in this color combination, it's $419. So even at $464, it's coming in $50 cheaper than a Glock. Now this is not to compare really Glock versus this or that, but they're so, it's kind of like how people relate Apex triggers to M&P. Well, Glock and M&P, I feel like, are huge competitors in this market. Glock's been doing it longer, and you know, Glock's been doing it great for a long time. I don't know if I mentioned, but this was built around the Sigma series, which had some issues. None of the parts are interchangeable, so they kind of went off the Sigma series and they came out with the M&P. The aftermarket options are out there because they've just been so popular. So what Smith & Wesson has here is really awesome. I did want to mention too that you can use the full-size magazines in this gun. So you do have some interchangeability there, which is nice. And that's another benefit that you get with going with the compact model as opposed to the single stack. Smith & Wesson, that's why I keep going back to them. You know, they're not the most refined gun. This one actually is a lot easier to rack the slide than the shield. You have these awesome fish scale serrations, but it just, you know, there's always something that you want to do to these things. Apex triggers are super popular with the M&P series, but they just work. Now I was looking at how many police departments use the M&P. It ranges, of course, here in the United States. There are a lot of police forces and security places that use the M&P line, but Australia uses them. Canada uses them. In Egypt, they use them. Iraq, the Japanese Special Forces uses the M&P. They're everywhere. They're all over the world being used by law enforcement to keep people safe, and I think that's awesome. In this line, of course, you have your you have a grip texture here. It's not the best. It's kind of slippery, as you know, especially once your hands start sweating, but it feels good, and that's a big thing with me and the M&Ps and a lot of people. It has an 18-degree grip angle, and they just feel great in the hand. Now, regardless of how well we really shoot with this thing, is, you know, we're gonna see here in a few days. But I can tell you, even with that heavy trigger, I will dry fire a gun, you know, a good bit before I actually take it to the range. And just dry firing the gun, just getting a feel for it, even with that little bit of heavy trigger, I don't feel the front of the gun moving a whole lot. So I'm really anxious to get this thing out and revisit this gun. You also have on this model an area for a Picatinny rail, light or laser, or anything like that. That's one thing to consider too. If you're looking at the compact versus the subcompact, we just did a video on how to choose your first carry gun. This could be a big feature for some people. If you're looking for a gun that you know you want to carry, but you also want to have for home defense, that right there could be huge. Now you can get Crimson Trace lasers and stuff that are just built into the grip. But this could be huge for somebody that doesn't want to spend a lot on those and just get a light for the house. So that's where this compact, I feel, really fits in. Now, when it comes to holster options, I'm probably going to go with the shoulder holster. I think I really want to keep this. After we shoot it, I will, you know, be certain about it, and I'll buy one then. But I think I'm gonna go shoulder holster with this. I'm gonna try it out. I wear a lot of button-up shirts so I can get to it easy. So if I was going inside the waistband with this, I would probably go hidden hybrid style, where you have 2 clips, you can spread out the weight, because the weight difference between here and here is definitely noticeable. But 12 rounds, 7 rounds, you got to pick your poison, especially with this dimension, because if you're going inside the waistband, this is huge. If you're going shoulder holster or something like that, it doesn't matter as much. So 12+1, and it's shorter in grip size than the Shield. So I think they did a nice job in balance with these compact models. Now, there's so many ranges. You know, the Shield has a 3.1 inch barrel. This one has a 3.5. So if you're looking at this and maybe saying, man, I want to get one at 45, the barrel lengths do change. I believe the 45 version of this, it has a 4 inch barrel, and I believe the trigger pull is also different between the 9 and the 45. It's really weird. I think the barrel lengths range from 3.5 to 5 inches. And then of course you have your performance center M&P, so there's an entire line and whole bunch of options with the M&P, so that is a nice thing. Of course you do have this color combination straight from Smith & Wesson this year. The carbon fiber, I looked at it up close, it looks pretty good, but you know, carbon fiber on some things can make it look really cheap. On this gun, I feel like it made it look really cheap. So, but with this, with the way they did the, and I know this doesn't matter, but still, it is a handsome gun. The way they did the black against the flat dark earth with the black slide, it just looks great. Of course, when we take this thing to the range, we will let you guys come with us and see how we do with this thing. Really want to test it within 5 and 7 yards. Of course, we'll do the 15-yard headshot test and just see how it does. But I'm really excited about this gun. I had to sell the FNS, and that's one thing I just want to say again. Like, I know a lot of you guys ask me to compare certain guns to other ones. I mean, I get that a lot. The only problem is that, you know, the way our channel is we have to sell to buy another one most of the time. It's very rare where we'll have, you know, 3 guns of the same type, like we did with the Glock, the M&P, and the LC9S. So just wanted to throw that out there, but we continue to do this because it's so enjoyable and you guys seem to enjoy it. So I know if I had the FNS, it would be an awesome review or comparison. I don't, but after we shoot it, I will give you some feedback anyways if you're looking at those 2 options as well. But I'm super excited about this, guys. I cannot wait to get this thing out and shoot it and see if this is actually different, because from everything I've heard, when they did the Shield and they seen the success and the trigger when they changed it over, from everything I've heard, and that was in 2012, they were going to incorporate this change, and it seems like they have. When I bought that M&P 9C last year, that gun was dated all the way back until early 2013, and the trigger was nothing like this. So they have done something. Let's just see how good of a job they did. I'm excited, and hopefully we can find a place for this gun in rotation. We have a lot of stuff coming up. We still have the shooting review of the H&K VP9. We also have another gun I am super excited about, very different, to show you guys. So if you like what we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Keep coming back. We appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you next time. And as always, hold them down.